Canada survives Spain in an absolute nail biter. What's up, everybody? It's JJ Buckets. A little bit of a different setup today. Don't pay attention to it. We are going to talk about the ups and the downs from today's game. And before I fully get into things, usual drill, just make sure you're leaving a like on the video. Helps the algorithm out a ton, and I really do appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Plus, if you plan on doing any responsible sports betting in the near future, just make sure to check out my link in the description below. The first up of the day is gonna go to the first half defense. In the first half against Spain, the defense was solid as hell. Solid as hell. They held them under 40% from the field. The three-point shooting was abysmal for Spain, and that was the point in the game where Canada, looked firmly in control, right? Like, the effort was great, and quite frankly, if you didn't get that first half, you probably don't win that game. So it was a really good effort there, but then that's obviously the prelude to a down here where the second half defense was awful. I don't want to say awful. I mean, there's times where very clearly the effort was there, but man, Spain's percentages shot up across the board. Obviously, they outplayed Canada in the second half, and just it wasn't a great performance for Canada in that regard. I mean, look, you survived the game at the end of the day, and that's really what matters, but you can't really get away doing that against better teams than Spain. With all due respect to Spain, because Spain's obviously a very solid team, but the further you get in this tournament, a second half like that and a second half performance like that will definitely cost you against, a Serbia, a USA, whoever else, right? The next up is gonna go to Andrew Nembhard. My God, Canada finally got a good performance from somebody off the bench. Nembhard was great. He really spread out his scoring too. He had 8 in the first half, and if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head, he finished with 18 points in the game. So really, really nice performance for Nembhard. I've been wanting to see him a little more involved in the offense for pretty much this entire tournament to this point, which is not saying much. When I say entire tournament, this is game 3, right? But nice to see him involved. Really saw some good shots and shot making from Nembhard. Big fan of his involvement. But overall, the defense itself, the bench is gonna get it down because they got significantly outplayed by the Spain bench. I mean, Spain's scoring off the bench was phenomenal, right? That's the biggest reason I would say that they managed to get into the game, is the kind of production that they managed to get off their bench. And once again, for Canada, you just really did not have that production there to match, right? Obviously, Nembhard was great, but outside of that, the performances really weren't that, comparable. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, despite the fact that one of the big storylines was the depth on this roster and all the NBA talent that Canada is bringing, still to this point, we have not seen the bench really earn their keep. And then the obligatory down to rebounding. My God, I mean, I feel like this is a thing almost every game. And again, I've talked about it where it's just the nature of the team that you are and the roster that you have. And you're gonna end up struggling with your rebounding because of your lack of size and depth up front. But it's just another game where Canada really gets beat on the glass. And those things really matter in the long run. Rebounding, I don't think it's a shocker for me to say to anybody that rebounding is a big component of basketball in terms of finishing out possessions with a defensive rebound, or even, potentially having game-changing offensive opportunities from the offensive glass. So the fact that Canada continues to get dominated again and again, kind of in that category, or maybe not, they get beat, dominates maybe a little harsh, although in this game, the disparity is not great. All that being said, it's going to be an uphill battle for Canada consistently if they're getting beat on the glass like this. It's not a winning formula, and there's only so many things that you can do to kind of get around it other than, just try your best with who you have. But yeah, every game is going to be just a little added layer of difficulty because you're getting beat on the glass. And finally, I think a really nice up goes to Shay Gilyard here. Look, he's the team's superstar, right? Like, he's the best player on the roster. He's one of the best players in the tournament, and he was big for Canada in this game. His first half, 13 points, tremendous. And then down the stretch, again, is where you see the value of having that kind of superstar. He had a massive play to set up RJ Barrett for a big time 3 down the stretch there. And then he obviously hit the free throws that separated you down the stretch and ultimately, led to the Canadian victory there. Having somebody of Shay's caliber for the big moments and really as a steadying, guiding hand for this team, absolutely huge, phenomenal player. And I really can't sing Shay's praises enough. And like, quite honestly, this wasn't even like the best Shay game that you'll ever see, but it's Shay's, good as somebody else's great, right? So makes a big difference. Makes a big difference for your team, especially for a team that wants to get onto the podium as this tournament goes on. And yeah, that pretty much does it for me today. So what do you folks think? Definitely a scary game. Definitely a scary game. That was very losable in the fourth quarter. They made just enough plays to get out of there with the victory, but not a comfortable affair. Not a comfortable affair in the slightest. So hopefully you don't really see that many games like this where Canada could actually get a little bit more separation, because these are the games that take years off your life. But yeah, any thoughts on the game, drop them in the comment section below. Pretty much at the end of the video here, so usual drill, make sure you're leaving a like on it. If you're still watching, you're here, I hope you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Other than that, folks, it's been JJ Buckets. It's been a pleasure, and I will see everybody next time.